All right. Hey, everybody. It's I almost said 23rd, the 29th of March, 2023. This is Plutus PBL live coding. We meet every Wednesday and Thursday from 1430 to 1600 UTC. And actually, this is on my local device. Let's switch this at plutuspbl.io/live coding. You can always see both an updated calendar of upcoming live sessions and an archive of past meetings, where each of these links right here links to YouTube. So if you ever miss one of these sessions, you can come through and catch up. Or of course, join us to drop by. We always start these sessions with student Q&A. So as people are working through the Plutus PBL course, we hope you're having questions, and we hope to provide a space for you to ask them here. And then once we run out of questions to look at, we'll always have some kind of demo or discussion ready to go. And so if we get through questions today, we'll look at Cardano CLI a little bit more in depth. But how's it going, everybody? Good to see you today.
Hey.
Newman, hey, Augustine. So how's it going? And we should be clear, module 102 went live this week, but if you've got questions about anything so far, the floor is open now. So modules 100, 101, and 102 are all live. Everybody's on their journey. What questions have you had so far?
So if this is Newman, I'd love to jump in. I had a little trouble getting the NICs running. This would have been module 101.4, getting the local environment set up. That's sort of what I ran into. It's where I'm at now. And it appears that NICs is installed, but when I try to run Nix shell or Nix develop won't go at all, and then when I try to run Nix shell, it just sort of runs and just got a big wall of text on the shell. Looks like it's trying to do something, or in the terminal, a big wall of text in the terminal. It looks like it's trying to do something, and then I'll watch it, and then eventually I can't watch a pot boil, and then I'll go away and I'll come back and the computer's restarted. And I've done it twice now. So I started it maybe 30 minutes ago and it ran for a while, and then I was like, man, and then I just killed the terminal. I wonder. I mean, my question. So that's where my situation is. My question is, how do I troubleshoot? Like how do I know when things how do I troubleshoot? And is there anyone else out there like me that is developing on a Windows machine using WSL? So 2 questions: how to troubleshoot, how do I know when things are going wrong, how do I figure out exactly what's going wrong? And then, is anyone out there trying to set up a local dev environment for Plutus on a Windows machine using WSL?
I'm going to give you a quick emoji for been there, and
Nice.
Anybody else? Anybody? Can we do the second question first? Anybody else here doing a Windows setup with WSL?
Yes, I was also trying for local setup on my Windows, but I was also facing same issue like installing the Linux. I mean, not Linux, installing that. But I after that switched to Demeter.
Just using Demeter. Okay.
Yeah.
It's always a fallback.
Yeah.
Roberto.
I was trying to work with Juan yesterday through modules 101 and 102, and he's also using a Windows with WSL. We got Nix shell working, but then when we tried to run Cabal REPL, it was giving us an error that a few dependencies where he tells you that he ran through the whole dependency tree and couldn't find some dependencies. So my question was kind of in the same vein, but sort of a little bit more on how to debug or troubleshoot Cabal configuration. Because we went to Plutus apps, we looked at the Cabal project and did Cabal build and everything, and the dependencies were there. And then I was thinking about, well, maybe it's the dependencies on the Plutus PBL repo, and that's kind of where we left it because it took us a while to get there.
Yeah.
So it's configured and built. It's added to the path. It's compiling the correct version. Maybe you confirm that too.
That was one of the things I wanted to look at, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not here, is he?
Where's the best link? Oh, no. Right, I'm thinking of that. Yeah, Newman, could we do just a little bit of live screen share just to diagnose a couple things?
Sure.
Be okay?
Yeah.
Here, I'll stop sharing here.
And let me bring up this and this. Yeah, I can do that. Try this. Screen. And I'll share my VS Code. Can you see that?
Yep, that looks good.
Okay. And maybe this stuff already. Okay, cool. So here I am in the terminal, and I'm in the Plutus-apps. And I've run this command, like as far as to sort of see if there's anything. They do have a little diagnostic, the Nix doctor. And then when I try to, well, here we go. When I do Nix space develop.
And actually, before you do that, can you give us a quick git status just to make sure that we're on the right Plutus apps checkout? Good. Okay, so that's where we want to be. Yeah.
Okay. And then what else? How so yeah. So I did I'm not I'm not exactly certain. I mean, I can use this over here in the git. Which
No,
one
so
is
this is good. This is just for Plutus apps. We just wanted to make sure you're on V120.
okay.
But for the first thing we'll do, so it says Nix develop, experimental Nix feature, Nix command is disabled.
Yeah.
So the suggestion here says just type Nix develop again with what you have highlighted there after it. And let's just see what that says.
Okay, cool.
Right, we get another similar thing. So same thing, you press the up arrow to repeat the same last line.
Okay.
And then just add a space and paste another suggestion after that.
What? Okay, cool. All right. Feeling good. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Do you want to allow config set accept? And I imagine yes here.
Yep.
We're
basically saying we trust IOHK to publish code.
Oh, okay. This is good. All right. So something's happening here. This looks nice.
This is promising. Okay, now this step, even if you do it right, this step will probably still take, I don't know, what would people say, an hour the first time? Yep. And Jeff, it's matching the right. That's what's new with the newest Plutus apps and with Nix develop. It's getting a little bit easier to manage the cache. We use Janti saying 2 hours.
Oof.
Yeah, it's like the max I've seen is 2 hours on my side.
Yeah.
I do have a
entire library.
Say again?
So what's taking so long? Is it pulling down like the entire library or all versions, or is just the standard build?
Uh,
Great question. Okay, you see how on the bottom of Newman's screen, you see how it says fetching from, and in many cases it says something like cache IOG, cache,
Yeah.
there's another one like Z something, Z work,
That's
right?
not bad.
So what's going on here? Nix is serving as our package manager, and it's a very particular kind of package manager that intends to replicate development environments no matter where you're building from. Right? That's the end of it. The reason we put ourselves through all this trouble is the reward for getting it right is we can have high enough confidence that from my machine or Newman's machine or from anywhere else, that Plutus script is going to compile to the same CBOR, right? We wouldn't want to have a different end result at compilation just because we're running on different devices. All right. So I hope you can kind of see why we go through this trouble in the first place.
Right.
And also we can look in awe at the fact that, you know, a team like Aiken has made that result less troublesome. We hope. We got to verify that. We got to verify that the Aiken code, you know, on my computer compiles to the same place as everywhere else. But for now, with this in mind, Nix is our package manager. Without these caches that we see we are downloading from, that's when this step takes 3 days and may never end. And that might be, Newman, what you were getting to before is maybe you were getting something to work with Nix shell, you said. But maybe for some reason it wasn't picking up the caches correctly. And if that was the case, the situation you described would make perfect sense.
Okay.
Now we're downloading from caches. There's still a lot to download. It's just gonna be downloaded faster because of the caches that are provided here.
Yep. Okay. That sounds good to me. I mean, you know, it's slow, but the principle is slow, but don't stop. So I don't mind blockers that sort of slow me down, but this is good. It feels like I've gotten, you know, a little bit, chip a little bit away. Yeah, it's good.
It's a good feeling.
One of the best things I ever heard at a live coding session was when Adrian, who anybody who knows him knows that he knows what he's doing when it comes to developing Plutus. We asked him, what's the hardest thing you've ever done? And he said, oh, got Nix running for the first time. You know.
Oh, nice. All right. All right.
Exactly.
Well,
okay.
I'm in the right spot.
Juan is sharing in the chat, you know, Newman, how we added these tags at the end of Nix develop, extra experimental features, Nix command, and flakes. Those can be added to what's called your Nix config file. We don't have to pause to do that right now, but maybe after you get this working, we can come back and just edit your Nix config so you don't have to add those tags in the future.
Okay.
And anybody who wants to explore that on your own, there's actually really good documentation for Nix config. You can play with it and see how to add tags to that file. Very
And they're
cool.
flakes and what a tag and a Nix command and flakes. Okay.
The dash is kind of referred to as a tag. Okay. And you'll see tags in Cardano CLI as well, right? Mainnet is a tag and address is a tag. And then flakes, who here wants to, we looked at the definition online for flakes the other day together, but I still don't have like a working, satisfying definition of flakes. They help us speed up the process of getting packages ready to go. Augustine, what's going on?
Hi. I did an Excel and it almost took like 2 days. So I was very patient. But I wanted to ask if you use Nix develop. Does that command does make another environment, or the things that I do with Nix shells will be shared when I use Nix develop?
Excellent. Okay, good. And this is a great thing for people to know. Yeah, if you download a dependency with Nix, it's called the Nix store on your computer, keeps a list of hashes that correspond to the components of that data. So for example, if Newman was to get this working right now, and then maybe to open up Plutus apps somewhere else or another project that had some of the same dependencies, ideally, if Nix is working correctly, it's not going to download those dependencies again. It's going to say, oh, you got these on your machine already. That's great. Let's use those. That's why it gets faster each time. So it's a great question, is if we move from Nix shell to Nix develop, can we count on the Nix store being accessed the same way? I don't know for sure. I hope the answer is yes. And I haven't studied Nix develop enough yet. Has anybody seen in the Nix documentation anything about that? Juan, do you know?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Yes, I don't know if I can explain because it's a difficult concept, but Nixer make your program, a cell for your entire program. It's like all the dependencies go to one thing called derivation, okay? And this is your application. When you change something, this derivation changes. Nix develop, in the other hand, is like Nix environment. You can set an environment with dependencies, okay? But this is not your whole package. You only take the package you want, and it's in practice, it's like have to have several Nix ends. I don't know if maybe this was worse.
So Nix develop leans a little bit harder on a specific environment definition.
Yes,
And
that is a flake.
And that's what a flake is. And so like Jeff is saying, this corresponds, what you're saying corresponds to what Jeff is saying in the chat. It depends on whether the flake depends on the same exact source commit, right? And if it does, it sounds like it'll be able to find that. But if it doesn't match perfectly, you're going to end up maybe downloading some additional resources.
The problem with Nix cell is that you can't use the already cache because when you do the package, so all the dependencies are packaged. So when you do Nix develop, the dependencies are not packaged. It's like an environment. It's like when you have a Linux installation with some libraries inside. But when you do Nix cell, you need to do the whole package to go to the cell with your application inside, inclusive.
So, every time I hear something like that about Nix, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like I can see the logical reason why that's built that way. But why is it so darn hard to learn how to use it for the first time, But yeah, I can imagine that environment setup. That's going to be fun to learn about because I can imagine that helping out a lot.
Yes. it's pretty strange because I know what it is, but I can't explain.
Yeah, no, that was not bad, dude. That was pretty good. You're on the right track. We're all learning how to talk about this stuff together. I love it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, man. Vincent, what do you think?
Hello, everyone. Just want to say hi, and also I wanted to give you a little update of how far I've gone so far. But I had trouble with my device, so I decided to switch over to Linux, which is a headache right now. But I was able to get Nix running, but the only command that worked was the Nix shell. It took a while, and it's actually still running in the background. But I was still able to run certain commands, like where is it? In a different terminal. What's it called? The Cabal update and the Cabal repo.
Excellent. That means that sounds like you've got a good Haskell installation going already. And this is another thing that we haven't really touched on. Maybe some people noticed in Demeter, you can just run Cabal REPL without going into Nix. Okay. And it's possible just to run Plutus apps outside of a Nix shell. Okay. But the details of that are not something we're going to rush into together, but I just want you to be aware that that's something you can play around with if you want to. But Vincent, it sounds like maybe, can we take a look at your setup now? Do you mind sharing screen?
Well, yeah, I can try. It took me, I was a little late this morning getting on here because Zoom is not compatible with Odubio, what's it called? OBS. Let's see if we can.
The new OS. Yeah, and that's okay. If you don't have it fully working yet, I get it. That
Well,
transition to Linux is different.
I may be able to, and I'm not that familiar with Zoom as well. Capture. Okay.
There you go.
Gotcha.
Where exactly am I going?
Show us what's going on with Nix right now. Yeah, okay. This is perfect. Okay, so and Newman, maybe your screen looked like this at some point,
Yep.
right?
Yep, that's what it looked like. Yeah.
And so this, and Vinci, you're saying this has been going for a long time.
Yeah, almost 2 days.
Right. Okay. So this is what we would expect to happen if we are not accessing the binary caches correctly. Okay. And this is when we get that flakes command working, for example, like we did on Newman's machine, this is why. So it will be heartbreaking to just turn this off right now, but we might have to, but let's not rush into that yet. Can you just bring us to another terminal window? And navigate to the Plutus apps directory.
Is it?
It might be your like PPBL 2023 and then Plutus apps. Actually try typing LS here.
Hmm?
Instead of changing
LS?
directory, try typing LS instead of changing directory. Yeah, I see. So we've got Plutus apps. So CD into Plutus apps. And then type git space checkout, or sorry, git space status, my fault. Git status.
Status. That's it?
Yep, that's it. All right, good. So same thing. So now let's try Nix develop first, just like on we saw on Newman's machine, and just see what error we get.
Um,
This is exciting. What's going to happen? Ho,
All
ho,
right,
ho.
so
I know what to do.
this matches, right?
Yeah.
And
So just-
so what I'm guessing, I think, I'm sorry it's been running for 2 days, but I think we can just stop the other one you've got going over there.
I'm okay with that because before that one I had another rant, but I didn't no longer saw it running. I didn't know if it was completed or not, so I ran it again. It's not I'm not,
So yeah, let's give this a try.
what
So
am I
now
giving it a try?
So Nix develop again. You could just press the up arrow once to get your previous command. And then add a space and just copy, try it again, up arrow, but then don't press enter yet. Add a space and then everything that's in those quotes, extra experimental features, extra experimental features, Nix command, and just copy it, okay? Because you want to get the dashes first. So everything from quote to quote. Yeah. All right, now we get the next same error. So we can press the up arrow again, add another space, and now add that next command, flakes.
This is cool.
This is what we saw in Newman's machine. So this is a good sign. Yeah, we can say yes there. Yeah. Okay. And now you're taking a different downloading approach with these caches. And that's what we enabled by enabling flakes above. So I'm hoping, and Newman, you'll keep us posted, but now we've got Vincent on the case as well.
Nice.
Let's see if this takes less than a few hours. If it doesn't, then there's something else we got to talk about. But we'll
All right. That sounds good.
Cool, guys. And Jonty just said it. It really is the truth. Once this works for the first time, it's a joy to use it. It spins up, and now you know you've got a legitimate environment. And I don't know if anybody noticed the difference in the length of the CBOR that was spit out by Plutus TX versus Aiken versus PluTS at the end of this module. But this environment gave us the shortest CBOR string so far. There is something nice to using it, even as we watch the other languages come online. Augustin, what do you think?
Hi, I have another question. Let's say that I installed, let's say that when you run a Nix develop, you make another branch, another environment. How do you lead the dependencies that Nix shells installed before?
Right.
Let's say that I don't want to, but because it almost took like 330 gigabytes of my drive, so that's a lot of storage. So yes.
I would like to know the answer to that question as well. So that's a great example of, if anybody wants to do a little extra studying about Nix develop environments together, let's align on Discord. And one thing we're going to start doing with live coding as we move on, right? Because some people are going to be several modules into the course, but other people are going to be just getting started. We're going to start using breakout rooms as time goes by. Okay. And so in one breakout room, for example, we could be diving in and looking at Nix develop together, reusable environments, whereas in another one, people might be just setting up a wallet for the first time. Okay. So I would love to look at that with you. I don't know if we have time to go too deep into it today, but let's either have a side session about that or just cover it in an upcoming live coding. And Juan, if you've got any resources for that, I know you already had a pretty good understanding of the problem itself. So if you've got any links that you recommend reading, I'm interested.
Definitely.
Okay, James. I read something interesting. I tried to search it and I post it.
And sorry, say it again. And what'd you find after that?
I can't remember. I think it was a YouTube video.
Okay.
But I saw multiple videos, so I don't remember which was the best of it.
Yeah, cool. So everybody, right? If you stumble on something, just this is a hot question right now, and I'd love to learn more. So let's see what we can figure out. Erez, what's going on? Oh, I think you're muted. I'm not sure if you're talking. While we wait, Dan, how's the install going?
Well, yes, I've unpacked the file, but I can't seem to get anything to do anything. So I don't know if you want to have a look at my screen and tell
Yeah,
me.
let's take a look. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Right, share screen. No, that's system window capture. No, system. Normally it asks me which screen I want to share. I'll try that, see what that's doing. Ah, okay. We want to share that one. Sorry, I've got two monitors on the computer and it was okay. Right, you can see my screen. Okay. I downloaded that file into downloads, moved it into Cardano node and unpacked it. So I've now got a load of things here that don't seem to want to do very much. If I list them in there, it seems to be a configuration directory, but I don't know what it's.
So you unpacked, right? You unpacked, this is great. You unpacked this whole file. I think it would work just to add, you could just add this downloads / Cardano node directory to your path and it would work. Okay.
Okay.
But what I would recommend is first changing the name of the directory so it doesn't have a space in it.
Take the space. Yeah, that does cause a. Yeah. How do I change the name? I can't remember.
I mean, one way to do it is just to use your file explorer instead of the command line, right?
Oh, yeah.
Always resort to that and just go to the downloads. Yeah.
Hang on. Come on, stupid. Right. Rename. Let's call it Cardano node without a space. Sorted. Right.
Cool. And so you'll have to reload your terminal window to see that change. But then we also probably just want to move that entire directory out of downloads. Just maybe.
Yeah. Where do I?
Put it in your home directory.
Yeah, just drag it into. Okay. Downloads. Drag that to home. Here we go. Cardano node. And the terminal. Yeah, you might be able to answer that one for me.
Exactly.
Is that the old installation of the Cardano node that I've got installed that's trying to run?
It could be. Yeah. So because it doesn't know where to look for it, right? So now type.
Yeah.
Do you mind going full screen on your terminal now, just so we can see?
Yeah. Okay.
So
how do I show my path?
Give us, echo the path.
Is it dollar path?
It should be,
yeah.
Dollar all uppercase path. All right. So what I would assume is that there is a Cardano node binary in one of those directories. Okay. Often it might end up in. Oh, go ahead, Adrian. Yeah.
If you type where is Cardano node, you should find it.
All one word.
Yeah, one word without space. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's not where I've just downloaded.
Right, exactly.
The file
and if you do, do Cardano dash node. And then space dash dash version.
You can't find the libSSL.
Oh, same thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay. So
I can do it for CLI. So it's finding my old installation basically, which isn't working.
right, and that's what we expect. And because oh, here we go. Here's something. Okay, so CLI is loading up. That makes sense.
Yeah, but that's from the, I believe that's from the old installation, isn't it?
Exactly.
Oh no,
because-
hang on, 1.353. What's
Is that what you? It
what
should be
version is the node now?
135. Yeah, if you just downloaded yesterday, for example, you would probably have 135.6.
Yeah, so that's the old version. So I need to uninstall all the old stuff.
So, but look at that path up there, right? From the
Yeah.
where it's command, hidden file dot local bin Cardano node. One of your options is just to now open up that file, and it's fine to use a file explorer to do this.
Mhm.
Delete everything related to Cardano node in that bin and just replace it. Or we can add your new file to the path, and that would be fine too.
Okay. I can't. So what do I need to do? Open up the path.
So the other thing in the Cardano node repository, it actually comes with scripts that take care of this for you. So that's another approach that we have available.
Okay. Are they not in the node
They
download?
are no, I don't think they come packaged, but let's try it. Open up the directory with your new Cardano node in it.
Okay. Does it look like there's any scripts? There's a configuration directory.
That's good. We're going to use that. No, I think what we want to do, I think the easiest thing to do would just be to add this new Cardano node directory to your path.
Okay.
Okay. And so Jeff shares an example of that in the chat.
Okay, I've lost the chat because I'm sharing my screen, so I can't see.
So try this. Try export all caps path. Oh, sorry, lowercase export.
Sorry, you said all caps. Don't confuse me. Export path.
There's no end to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, equals.
Yeah.
And then we'll say $, all caps home.
Yeah.
/ Cardano node, your new directory. And then a colon. And then $, all caps path.
Aha. Dunk.
Append
So
this
if-
new path to the front of the path. And now give us a
So
Cardano
if I-
node version.
So if I now echo $path, oops. Yeah, okay. So if I now go Cardano, oops. Yay.
All right, all right.
It's there.
It works.
We're
That's what we're looking
good,
for.
good, good. Now,
Nice.
will it do the same for Cardano testnet?
Okay, excellent. That's the perfect question. Okay. With
Let's
Cardano
try.
node, so you could try that command, but it's not going to do anything. Okay. And let's think about why.
Ah,
Cardano node can be run on any network. It could be run on Cardano mainnet. It could be run on Cardano pre-prod testnet. It could be run on some brand new network that you invent tomorrow with your own parameters. Okay. We're just going to try to run this thing on pre-prod for today. And just like we've seen how long it takes to load up Nix for the first time, loading Cardano mainnet does take a couple days. It's 120 gigabytes of data being fed to your computer from nodes all over the world. Okay. Takes a long time. Luckily, pre-prod is only about 3 gigs, so it doesn't take too long.
no. Okay. So, how do we do that then?
All right, let's take a look at the course documentation. Now that you've got this installed, you can jump back to lesson 10, I think it's 104. Or sorry, yeah, 101.4. Jeff, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's only a tiny bit more complicated than that, but that's pretty much the idea. Newman, dude, you're in.
Nice. All right.
Awesome.
We're doing all right with the live coding. I really appreciate you all. I do have to jump off at 11:30 though. I'll watch the video to see what else happens, but I really appreciate the walkthrough and following along. It's
Thanks
gonna be
for
great.
trying it. I appreciate it too. Yeah, man. We made the most of it. See you soon.
Rock on.
And I said 101. It's 102. Sorry, Dan.
Okay, no problem. Where is it then?
You were there. You could also, and this is what we need to make the navigation better. But you can go at the top. If you ever just click on the modules link, it'll take you to the list.
Right, 102. Which one did you say?
102. 1021. Sorry.
Introducing CLI, yeah?
That's all.
Okay. Nodes.
Okay, so you've got the install step done.
Running Cardano node. Yeah.
Right. And we're on step 4 now. Now that this thing is installed, we want to run it.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Okay. The 4A step, there's the link is provided. You can download the necessary config files, but would it be okay if we just did a live demo of this? This is a great thing for people to see and to have recorded.
Yeah. Okay. So do I need to?
So I would recommend, let's start at step 4A. Just above. So let's make a new directory, right, for all of this. Maybe you can put it inside of your Cardano node directory. I would recommend keeping like a root directory called, or just at the home level, right, at the account level called Cardano, all lowercase, because you're guaranteed to use it regularly.
Yeah, I know. I always capitalize stuff. It's just habit.
I know what it's like
here. Oh. Come on, you stupid computer. How do you add a new directory? Probably one of these.
Here, let's go here. Let's do all of this from the terminal from here on. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, you're all right with it in small. Okay, so we're in Cardano node. So make a directory.
So first type just CD to go all the way to the top.
Yeah,
All right.
we're at
Now
the
you're
top,
at your root.
yeah.
And let's do a make dir Cardano right here.
Yep. Change into it.
Yep.
Make it bigger, and then you can all see it. Go on then. I can't see the. Hang on.
Okay, you're there. So now we've got this directory, but let's make another directory inside of it for pre-prod, for example. Okay, so inside Cardano,
that
let's
one.
do make dir pre-prod, because maybe you'll run mainnet eventually.
So that. Copy that. And jump back in.
And that command, you already have the Cardano directory, so just don't, maybe delete the Cardano before that, so you don't double that.
Yeah. Oops. That one's 3 dB. It's all right. Linux doesn't work like everything else. Oh, go away.
It's completely new to me.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, good. Okay. So now we've got a pre-prod directory and a DB directory. We know what's going to go in the DB. One thing you can do is just CD into pre-production now. And one of the great things about Linux is the tab button for autocomplete on the command line.
All right.
Fill out your directories. But make another directory here called config. And so, right, for everybody following along, now what do we have here? We've got a Cardano directory, inside of it, a specific network directory, in this case, pre-prod, and inside of that, we've got DB and config. And this is a reasonable way to set things up. If we have any OGen stake pool operators on the call, feel free to share your expertise as well. But let's now go back to your browser, Dan. And we're going to save a bunch of config files to this config directory. So follow the link on 4A. It says you can download all necessary config files here. And scroll down to where we find the pre-production testnet.
Pre-production, yep, got it.
Right. And you don't actually need all 7 of these files, but rather than distinguishing between some of them, I think it's best practice just to grab all of them. And now you've got them. They do reference each other sometimes in unexpected ways, but technically you don't have to grab the DB sync and the submit API. But if you right click on each of these, you should get like a save as.
Save link as.
Yep. And then just find your Cardano file. It was home.
Yeah.
Looks like you're in downloads, right?
Good, Dan.
Maybe sort by name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it down there.
Why is it there?
I'm not sure what it's sorted by.
Yeah.
We're in. Go into pre-prod and then into config before you save.
Pre-prod, config, and then save.
Bingo. And then we want the same thing for the next 6 files.
Okay.
Now there are endpoints, and that's the contents of the files.
Yeah, I know.
You can use. And so thank goodness, this is not a step we have to do every time we run
Oh.
a transaction, right? There's a lot of queries always running in the background, and you'll see when you build a transaction, the protocol.json file, right? Thank goodness, every time I want to send a couple of ADA across the network, I don't have to download the protocol file by hand every time. But hopefully this is just exposing everybody to, look, this is the information under the hood. And like Jeff said, guess what? You make copies of these 7 files and you change them in the right ways, you just invented your own new side chain. It's that simple. Well, it's not that simple. You probably can't talk 3,000 stake pool operators into running your network tomorrow, right? But at least from a technical perspective, a few of us could get together and set up a little test net.
Okay, they are all down. Let's go
All
back
right.
into
Very cool.
terminal.
So if we
And-
ls in config right now we'll see those files.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, CD, you were right. CD into config and then
it's
ls.
all right.
No, this is wrong. Sorry. Oh yeah, you got it. Good. I didn't know you could do that. That's fabulous. All right, so here's our files, right? And now if you go back to the documentation.
Yeah.
And just back a page right here.
So up.
Just go back one page.
Sorry. Okay, I'm back.
All right.
Yeah, right. We're back in the PBL. Yeah.
You did 4A, you did 4B. Now we just have to run the Cardano node. Okay, so you can see there are 4 paths. What I would do is just copy this command to either a markdown file or a text notepad or whatever. And you're going to replace those paths that we have right there with the ones that you just defined.
Okay.
And anybody else, feel free just to jump in. Augustine, if you just want to unmute while Dan's doing this, if you got something.
So I was seeing that for every like Genesis file, JSON file, that are for every hard fork, there's a Genesis JSON file. That's right.
Someone give me the name of a text editor. My mind's gone blank.
Nano?
Yeah.
NaNo.
NaNo? Yeah. Pseudo.
Cool.
So we can copy that in.
Why is that not copying?
Oh, and this,
Paste.
yeah, there we go.
Right. We're in. Okay.
So actually, I think the database path and the socket path look good. And Augustine, to your question, right. So like some of the new eras have introduced, a brand new version of the protocol. And so in order to kind of be able, like, it was most dramatic from the Byron to the Shelley era, right? So like the Cardano was launched during the Byron era, and long story short, a lot changed for Shelley. So you've got different kinds of addresses from one to the next, for example. And so you need to be able to bootstrap the chain from scratch through both of those eras, and that's why you need those different bootstrapping files. So we want to change, I think for socket path and database path, you can just put a tilde there, depending on your operating system, but I think that should work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
take that out.
That's that.
And where's my squiggle gone?
Is that what it's called in the UK?
No, it isn't. It is, but I can never find the flipping thing. Where is it? It's hiding
Top
some...
left, all the way top, all the way left.
Come on. It's not that one. No, it's not that one. Oh. No. It's not top left on my keyboard because my keyboard's a British
Really?
keyboard.
Oh,
Yeah.
oops,
Oh,
wow.
hang on.
I didn't know you could move that key.
Is that it? Yeah.
That's it. That's the one.
It's
All
on
right,
the on this one. It's far right, about a shift hash.
I learned something today too. I like it.
Yeah. So the database path, we can do the same. And have we created config pre-prod?
We did. Yeah, it was pre-production / config, right? So actually everything before the / topology and the / JSON is going to look pretty much the same, right? Just tilde Cardano pre-production config.
Yeah, so delete all that lot. Tilde. Slash re slash config. That's how we did it, wasn't it?
That looks good to me.
Okay.
Same thing on the bottom line, and then this is the command. This is it.
Okay. Come on, get down. Oh.
And then as some people have seen, once you have a command like this, you could just save it in a shell script file and just run that script to start your node now, right? Just this right here, single command. Jeff, see you soon.
I don't know, pre-production config JSON. Okay.
Let's do it. I can't wait. Okay, so copy this.
Right. Well, what I was going to do was save it.
Oh, as a shell script.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Which is Control
Control O for write out.
Yeah. File name to write. What are we going to call it? Start node.
Start node.
Start node.sh.
Sounds good to me. And then we exit.
And if I exit, then I can go start node. Oh, where did I save it?
Try dot, no, right there, I think. So try dot space.
Yeah.
And just type ST tab and see if it fills in for you. Yeah, there you go. All right, let's do it. Fingers crossed.
Oomph, it's running.
Ooh, that's right.
That looks good to me. All right, look at that. So it's on slot 115,940. What's pre-prod on in reality now? I got a pre-prod runner right here. I'll check. 24 million. Okay, so you got to go from 250,000 right now to 24 million or so, and then you'll have a synced pre-prod node.
Is that right?
Almost. Okay, so you don't want
did-
query tip is a command. Okay, so you're gonna have three separate words: Cardano CLI space query space tip. And
Okay.
you can go back to the documentation too to see this. And there's one more thing you'll want to copy and paste in as well.
So the query tip is,
Query space tip.
yeah.
2 dashes in front of testnet.
Okay.
So that's going to be testnet.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is testnet dash magic, lowercase magic.
Okay.
And then 1. When we make our own network, we can put whatever number we want there, right? And then space, okay, right, that's all for that command. But we've got to set the node socket. That's fine, we can do that. So if you go back to the documentation,
there we are. Yep.
it should say right here, okay, 4D, check status. You see how it says export Cardano node socket path. The Cardano CLI is going to look specifically for this variable written exactly like that. All caps, Cardano underscore node underscore socket path. Okay.
So I need to.
You just have to be sure to change this to the path to your node socket that you just wrote in your new
Which
bash.
Which was Cardano pre-production DB node socket.
Right.
Was it not?
Right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly, okay, so it's exactly like mine. So you just got to replace the your path to with a tilde, right? So you could just copy this whole thing and then just go back on the command line to change to tilde.
So we need to go. Okay.
Is that just, I don't know.
Oh.
Your something was weird with the spaces there for some reason. I don't know. You see how it says socket? Not sure why I was doing that. This, that looks better. You still got the your.
Oh shit! Sorry. Yeah. There was some some rubbish on the end. You know?
But this one, press up again, you'll see that the word your is still there where it shouldn't be. So just back up and
Yeah. That's really right. Try that.
that looks better.
It does.
And query that tip. Let's see. All right.
There we
success.
go.
Very nice.
14.5%.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Now it's not, that time is never linear according to just the time that has passed. So what you'll often find, especially when you're running or updating or I guess syncing, right, a mainnet node for the first time, is it goes pretty fast up to like 30 or 40%, then it starts to slow down. And then over time, it gets epically slower and slower and slower. Anybody got any guesses why?
As the transactions get more and more and more and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Why are they getting bigger?
The block
Because-
size increased.
The block size itself increased. What else changed?
Smart contracts.
Bingo, right? Native assets. You can watch in the speed of your sync progress when native assets were introduced, because transactions start taking up a little more space. And you can see it happen again when smart contracts are introduced, right? And so going from 99% to 100% on mainnet in my experience these days, takes longer than going from like 0 to 20% when you do it for the first time. Okay, because the last 1% of everything on the chain is an awful lot of data. But you're underway, sinking a node from a boat. Nice. Congratulations.
Although sinking is not a word you want to hear when you're on a
Don't
boat,
say that too
particularly.
loud. That's very funny.
Yeah,
Powering up. That node floats. Okay,
it
so
does.
yeah, Augustine, that would be great. So yeah, we've covered some fabulous ground today. Couple of Nix develops getting up and running. Cardano node getting up and running, and we can use this video right here just to share with other folks when they're going through both of those steps. So thank you to everybody who jumped in. But yeah, Augustine, you got a new project for us to think about?
Yes, you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Cool. So the past week, you have talked about the possibility in the future to working on a testnet. So I remembered Santiago Casina, a developer of Argentina that is making a new fork or like an alternative network based on Cardano, and that have like his purpose is education. So let me show the link. It's called Forcano, and I texted him on Telegram and told me quite a bit of the project, and I found it very interesting, and I launched a node the past week. So it's very straightforward to launch a node with the scripts that he provided. So I was wondering if there could be a collaboration, or it will be good to invite him here to share the project and see what happens. I heard once that you can sign up here and share an idea, and I don't know the form, but
That's amazing. Yeah, that's incredible. If he'd be down to come talk to us, and to collaborate with a group of people who want to maybe rely on a network like this, that'd be a great conversation to have. Thank you. So here's where it gets interesting, right? And this is one of the questions we could ask. It's one thing to set up the network in the first place, right? And 3 people could just decide, hey, we want to have our own little Cardano DevNet. That's great. But it doesn't stop with just creating nodes and registering those test stake pools and getting them talking to each other. We also need to make sure that we have things like DB Sync set up, maybe a GraphQL service, maybe even a Koios service, and the list could go on. And Dandelion provides all of those in the very same way that we can spin up a Cardano network. We can instantiate Dandelion with additional networks as they emerge. So we would just want to pay attention to that. If we did decide to make a network, we wouldn't want to do it at the expense of not being able to use all of the tooling that we're already using. So those are some of the questions we'll want to bring to the Forcano team and see how we can create a roadmap for that. That's awesome. Thanks. Ares, we came full circle. Hey.
Yeah, hey everyone. Hey. I'm still having problems with Nix, but I'm gonna look at the live coding after and then try to figure it out. And if there's still problems, I'll update. But you were mentioning a bunch of the different tools, and I'm wondering, where do oracles fit in to that with Cardano and like querying the blockchain?
Excellent. Okay, so what's our working definition of an oracle?
I don't know how to define it, but I was listening to a really good podcast between Chainlink and the founder of Chainlink and what's the guy that always wears black? I forgot his name. Lex Friedman. So they go into a really deep discussion about how oracles work and kind of create another network communicating with the smart contracts. I don't know yet. Most of it's beyond my comprehension at the moment, but I'm curious to know how that fits in with Cardano and with what we're doing here.
Now this is critical. So does anybody here have like a quick reason why oracles exist?
Oracles are just bridges to the real world, right? You need sometimes data that is constantly changing, like stock prices and stuff like that. So it's sort of like you ping it and it returns some information that is not necessarily on the blockchain, doesn't need to live on the blockchain. I think people that are doing land rights and stuff like that are thinking of using oracles a lot for that kind of reason.
Excellent. Yeah. Juan says data aggregator in the chat. I think both of those are great, right? Data aggregation, bridge to real world. Somehow the blockchain needs to know what's happening. Now, to use Roberto's example, stock prices. All right, I'm going to run an oracle. I'm going to provide stock prices. And just because I'm certain nobody's going to notice, I'm going to make sure to, to skim a fraction of a cent off the top of every transaction by reporting, by front running just a little bit from my oracle, right? Well, the reason I'm saying that these are the most important problems of oracle provision. How do you trust the oracle that you're getting that data from, right? And we always talk about, okay, once it's on chain, it can be verified, 100% true. Just because it can be verified, does that mean it's true? That's a much harder question, okay? So actually, we're going to start working on this oracle question next week in module 103. Module 103 is pretty short, and it's going to ask more of a conceptual question and give you just a little intro to how we are bridging the real world to the blockchain when we talk about contributor tokens in this course, okay? And we're going to start to dig into the question of how do you trust an oracle by starting just by thinking about what information we can provide each other with, right? And oracle is just automating that, but one good way to decide if we trust each other is by working together, right? By talking to each other. That might be a bridge from the real world to the blockchain. And as we start to see patterns in how we collaborate and decide to trust each other, from that we can start to see, okay, here's how you would design an oracle with those constraints in mind. So we're headed there. And do keep that in mind with everything we do, right? Maybe you've started to see it already, talking about proof, right? One of those learning targets in the first module is not like the other three. I have no way of proving that you know how to safely store your keys, right? I can prove it negatively. You haven't gotten hacked yet. Okay, good. But really, right? It's a choice we make to trust each other. All right, you're being responsible with your keys. And then we see in module 102, there are some initial forms of evidence gathering and proof that you are creating by doing these assignments. But are they good enough? Are they really good enough for us to stand beside and say those constitute proof? Please be sure to think about that as you look at the assignments on 102. We'll think about it again on 103, and then we're going to carry those insights with us. And I'll give you a cliffhanger, okay? Or I guess it's called a spoiler if I tell you the end of the story. The spoiler is nobody really knows the answer yet. This is ongoing work. This is the work still ahead of all of us, okay? So I'm excited for people to start thinking about these questions, and together we get to have some ideas and figure out what we want to build. Erez, I hope that didn't feel like an unsatisfying answer, but you're spot on to be thinking about oracles. We got some good work ahead of us.
No, it was great, and yeah, excited to learn more about it. Thanks.
It's exciting, everybody. Wow, feels like a nice natural time to stop, and we're coming at just under 5 minutes left. I like it. Anybody got any last questions or requests for things that you would want to cover in an upcoming live coding session?
Yeah, how do you set up a stake pool on a test network? That would be an interesting.
If you type Cardano CLI, just that, it'll show you a list of all the different subcommands it comes with. And you'll notice that some of them are related to stake credentials, stake registration. Okay. So to build you've already seen in the lesson how to build a stake enabled address with the staking credentials, but you can also see how to you can study on your own or look at Cardano CLI to learn a little bit more about writing a stake certificate. But then the problem becomes now you need 2 nodes running really to run a stake pool. You need what's called your leader node, your block producer, right? And your relay node. And that's going to be a little bit beyond our scope for right now, but I think we should build out some materials. And if anybody has any favorite links for tutorials on stake pools, the coin cashew one I always thought was pretty good. James, what do you use for when you show people a stake pool tutorial? Oh, you're muted, I think.
Oh, it's funny. I've been like chiming in a lot at explaining what I'm responding.
We couldn't hear you.
Yeah, sorry guys. That's a great question, James. The reality is there are a lot of simplified tutorials on how to build a stake pool. But really what I'm finding, and this was my personal experience, is really, I think the best way to do it is to learn to do it from Git, to pull directly from Git, the source. And the only reason is because even there was a time when I experienced some issues because maybe that group that had created that tutorial wasn't doing updates quick enough. And so I was scrambling going, oh gosh, I used this format and it was kind of a niche format with a group. And now I need to do something on my nodes. I really don't know exactly what to do. And so I kind of pulled back and I've been building nodes just from Git, just right from the script. And I really think following a tutorial, depending on the type it is, if it's not pulling directly from the scripts, it might not be the greatest idea in the long term, because you're really going to want to know how to pull directly from Git when they make code alterations or anything like that. So I'm trying not to use, in answer to your question, I'm trying not to use a tutorial. I'm really trying to learn how to do it directly from source. And I would urge anybody learning, just go that route. It's probably harder, but the truth is when changes happen, the source will always be the source, and you're not going to have to worry about somebody modifying their tutorial and then getting it wrong. I even had an issue with a node because I was goofing around. Some guy said, hey, I wrote something, it'll automatically update your nodes, and he was rated really high, and I did it. And it would never worked on my nodes. It was working on a lot of other people's, but it was the way that we built it. It was so different that his little program didn't work. And so I just ended up reconstructing my nodes. And that's when I realized I probably need to start building right from source. So right now, guys, that's what I do. I try and pull everything from source directly. I do get stuck. Being a node operator and managing these arrays, it's difficult because it's not one node. You're managing several, and they have to be communicating, and your producer has to be private, it has to be hidden. So you have to become very good at security. And then you have to run this array out on the open network and then privatize and hide your producer and link into your nodes and keep that separation gap. So it is a lot. In fact, last week, or no, 2 days ago, I just woke up and I'm diversified like all over the world. And one of my providers all of a sudden kicked all of my SSH keys, like they don't work. So I've been direct porting in to the provider and accessing my nodes because I like to like watch, make sure things up and running. But we can't seem to square away the SSH key issue. And it's just that particular provider. What's really funny, you guys, is I use FileZilla. We were talking about upgrading the databases. All of my nodes I have FileZilla connected into for a remote tunnel. And so I can grab a database that's ready and I can pull that database and move it over to a new node. And then I can boot that node up right away without having to do what we're doing now in sync. So those are like little tricks that that I've set up. So when I SSH into my nodes using FileZilla, same computer, same terminal, same SSH key, it works. But when I'm doing it from terminal right into my remote node, it doesn't work. And so I've contacted and set a ticket up with my providers to see why this particular provider stopped accepting the SSH keys. I created new keys, put them in, everything. It's just not working. Checked if the daemon was working, it's running, reset the daemon. So this is the stuff I've been dealing with over the last couple of days. It's just getting remote access back to my nodes because of providers probably doing some major update or something, and they altered a script, and now I can't remote it. So really mastering every caveat and aspect without tutorials or without somebody's cheater script is really in your best interest. This is a complicated game, and I think as we move along, it's going to become more complicated. So what we did here today, James, the way you were walking them through the scripts and creating that reference script to launch the node, all of those things are so important to really understand. Because if you depend on somebody's pre-canned script or somebody's information, if things change and they're not changing quick enough, you could get left behind because you really just don't know how to do it yourself. And so this group, I think, is a fantastic spot to really hang out and learn exactly that. Good job, James. I really appreciate your time. That's all I have to offer.
Thanks, man. We would, after we wrap this course, there's a lot of energy to build a small, it doesn't need to be as long, but like a small launch a stake pool PBL course, right?
We should.
With those updated docs, that'll be really interesting.
Yeah, look, that's why I was gone the last couple days, because I've been trying to get remote access back into my notes.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I'm like, I got to work on this. So I have tickets in. I've been like moving keys around, everything. You guys, the providers can stump you. And so I have multiple providers all around the world for my nodes. So I don't, obviously I wasn't kicked out completely. I still have running nodes, everything's running. It's just, it's strange that those providers could become a bottleneck for us to keep our nodes up and running. It was a real sober reminder of how I am not directly independent when it comes to running my nodes. There are layers of support that if I lose, I'm unable to do this. And I would really love to discuss how we could defeat that one day and become the direct line with like maybe Elon Musk and solar and getting internet and power without having to worry about a provider that would be willing to pull the chain or something. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm definitely coming back, you guys. I have another meeting and then I'll be back at 11. I'm going to be working on this stuff. I'm going to jump back into that room. I was working with Omi last couple days, fell off because of my node disconnection. Still working on that, but I'm gonna be jumping into that learning room that we set up, James. So just be advised, guys. If you're looking for some more hangout time later on this afternoon, I'll be in there and I'll be working on this stuff.
Excellent.
All right, guys.
And yeah, for anybody who's not aware, James, thank you, and see you soon. For anybody who's not aware, there's a PPBL study hall voice channel in the Gimbal Labs Discord now. So just if you want to go just with fellow students, feel free to use that anytime. Martin, hey.
Hey. Yeah, Yeah, I tried to unlock like a random always succeed UTXO, but that wouldn't work.
Ooh, that's a cliffhanger. Okay. Can we start with that one tomorrow? That is such a wonderful question to look at
Because then
together.
it will not always succeed.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's what we need to look at together. And I think there's some really, really important points. I don't want to throw that in right here at the end, just as a side note. That's actually a great focus question for us to look at.
Quick one on that.
Yep.
Did somebody else unlock the UTXO before you got to it? Because I had that happen. I went to unlock a
Could
UTXO and
certainly
it
be.
failed
Yeah.
because
yeah,
someone else, because it's an
Yeah.
always succeeds.
yeah.
It always succeeds, and someone else
So
had succeeded.
tomorrow, let's look at when does always succeed, and why doesn't it sometimes? Let's figure that out. That's such an important thing for us to look at, and it'll take us into some of the additional Cardano CLI stuff, right? In the beginning of this module, you've only seen one way to really think about datum and only one way to think about scripts, but if you've been paying attention, you'll see that we threw in a reference script on the last mastery assignment. So we need to look at reference scripts together. We need to look at ways of handling datum together. And when we talk about datum, it's going to take us to Martin's question right there of like, hey, why couldn't I get this one to succeed? That's awesome. Roberto, what do you think?
Just a quick update. I was yesterday. I said I was going to try to run PBL within the Plutus Pioneer container, and I just compiled the always succeeds contract. So it seems there's another option too.
Excellent. Okay, so this course should be seen as a living document, right? And hopefully people can see that it's possible to add additional lessons as we go. There's going to be room for that. So for example, like Roberto was saying here, he worked out a way to use the Docker provided by Plutus Pioneers to run the template that we're using in this course. That could warrant, a mention. We could add that to an existing page. We could create a new page, and everybody's welcome. Okay. Later in the course, as we really start to nail down how the contributor token is working, which you'll learn more about next week. There's going to be specific calls to action to contribute. But we had some of the swarm at Playground yesterday, and they were saying, the best way to do bounties is to let contributors suggest what the bounties are in the first place. All right. And so I'd really like to take their advice and create systems where, hey, if you say, hey, look, I figured this thing out, I think we should add to the course. There should be a mechanism for you to say, to say that, bring it to this group right here. We can all say, yeah, go for it. Right. And then different people can start adding those additional lessons. And so Roberto, thanks for that. I think that's a really cool initial example. And as we go on, people are going to start to see more and more examples like that. Well, dang, if we get this much done every Wednesday, we're going to be pretty pumped in a couple months. That was cool. Thanks, everybody. Be in touch on Discord in the meantime if you got questions. You heard James, he'll be in there in the voice chat just studying, and I'm looking forward to picking it up with some Always Succeeds work tomorrow. Take care, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you.